Okay, so let's first factor this trinomial. Now remember, the number in front of x squared is not 1, so we need to do this. We can't use the method we did in an earlier video. We got to do this by grouping, or there's another way called trial and error. I'll do both ways. So remember, to group, what's our first step? Multiply the first and last numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. Now, what two numbers multiply to positive 6 but add to negative 7? Well, negative 6 times negative 1 is equal to positive 6, but these two numbers add to negative 7. So we rewrite negative 7x as either minus 6x minus x or minus x minus 6x. It doesn't matter. It's going to work out the same either way. So I'm going to write negative 7x as minus 6x minus 1x, or minus x, and then we have a plus 2. So again, this adds to negative 7x. This is really the same thing as this. But now, remember, to factor by grouping, we want this middle operation to be a plus, not a minus. So let me just rewrite this as plus a minus x plus 2. Plus a negative x is the same thing as minus x. Now we group the first two terms and the last two terms, and we factor each group. Here I can factor, the greatest common factor is at 3x, and I'm left with x minus 2. Here I can factor out a negative 1, and I'm left with x minus 2. Factor out our x minus 2, and again, when I factor that out, I'm literally taking this out. What am I left with? 3x minus 1. So this is the factored form of this. You could multiply this out and make sure that it's correct as a check. Now let me just show you another way. We could do this by what's called trial and error. So to get 3x squared, one way we could write this as 3x times x. Yeah, these multiply to 3x squared. Now the question is how do we get 2? Well, we could get 2 times 1 or 1 times 2. Let me start with this one and see how, again, this is trial and error. So is there any way 3x, keep in mind when I multiply this, I get 3x squared, so these two numbers plus these two add up to the middle one. So is there any way 3x and a 2x can add to a negative 7x? There's no way. That can only add to like 5 or maybe negative 1 if you adjust the signs. But you can't, there's no way you can get 7. So let's change these numbers. Let's change it to a 1 and 2. Now, again, when we multiply this, these two multiply plus these two give us our middle number. Is there any way 6x and 1x can give us a negative 7x? Yeah. Negative 6x and negative 1x. Yeah? So now, let me just, this is the correct factored form. Notice it's the same as this. 3x minus 1 times x minus 2. All right? You could multiply it out and check, but that's the idea of trial and error. The problem with that is it's exactly that. It's trial and error. The nice thing about this is it's very step by step to get your answer. So you pick whatever method you prefer in order to factor these.